What's the cut, Papa?
Juicy, Junior. Real juicy.
When I wrote Reservoir Dogs, I dedicated. I said the following inspirations, and I named a bunch of people. Lionel White wrote the novel that The Killing was based on, which, by the way, I never read. All right, I've never read his novel. I've read a couple other novels by Lionel White, but Reservoir Dogs was never people took a sentence that I said once and said that I was like I ripped off The Killing, or I was a paraphrase remake of The Killing. I was making a heist film, and I would say this is my The Killing, and that means basically it's like I wrote Lionel White because I didn't want to thank Kubrick. All right. I have a sibling rivalry with Kubrick too. All right. Same thing with Orson Welles. Fuck those guys. They ain't so good. All right. They ain't so hot. Yeah, they're okay. But, Jesus Christ. Tim Curry is one of the great eccentric character actors of all time, and actually I'd read. He came in and read for Joe Cabot, and it was kind of between him and Lawrence Turney. Oddly enough, I didn't hire Timothy Curry because I'd heard he was so crazy. All right. He never would have been as bad as Lawrence Turney. At his craziest, his craziest could be just as bad as Lawrence Turney, but I don't think he would have been at that time. Timothy Curry also had this, but oh God, he was great. Because Timothy Curry he talked like this, and he was in these Kubrick films, and he's a crazy fucking guy. I mean, one of the weirdest fucking actors ever.
Red Lightning, huh? Red Lightning in the 7th. You say you're betting on him, huh? Yeah, I got a little bet down on him.
Did The Killing play much of a significant role in your writing of the screenplay?
Well, it played a significant role insofar as, I did a heist film, and that's my favorite heist film. But I didn't really lift anything from The Killing. People have brought up the fact that the story goes back and forth like The Killing does. But, a big difference in there is The Killing uses a newsreel structure in order to work that framework. On February 7th, on the last day of his life, so-and-so goes and does this. So that was this newsreel section where I tried to adopt a novelistic structure. But I've been always brought up to it because while I was making the movie, I constantly was saying, well, this is going to be my The Killing. I didn't mean I'm going to remake it or anything. What I meant was, if I was going to do a World War II movie, that it would be my Where Eagles Dare, or a Western, they'll be my One-Eyed Jacks. It's just the way I was thinking in terms of.
The truth of the matter is, good, bad, or indifferent, Reservoir Dogs didn't really exist before I did it. Heist films had been made. And, there's a whole story about this Hong Kong movie, City on Fire. If you've ever seen City on Fire, it's very, very different from my movie. The section that they say I took, I did take from it, all right? Absolutely, I took from it, all right? But it's a very different movie. They actually talked to the director, Ringo Lam. He goes, wow, Tarantino took the last 10 minutes of my movie and made an entire movie about it. Well, that's a fucking different movie. That's very, very different. The movies that were collecting in my head, for all the movies I saw, I never saw them. I saw a flash of them. I saw a movie that would have a scene that would be the aesthetic that I was looking for. Or they would play a song in a movie, and that would be the kind of song that I would use, and it would have the kind of feeling that I'd want a song to have in one of my movies. Or a character would be the kind of character that I wanted to do a movie about. Not all the other characters, just one character. But usually, like I said, it was a scene. It was a mood for only a little bit, or a section of the movie. But it was never the whole enchilada. It was never that aesthetic that was in my head was never just there. I mean, if it was just there, if 2 or 3 other people were doing it, I might have been a filmmaker because I didn't need to get it out of my head. There's a whole lot of movies you could see. A whole lot of movies you could watch without you. What's the movie that we have never seen because you haven't made it? And make that movie. Make the movie that it's the reason why you're going to be doing it. All right?
The Samourai. I like the way Certain directors approached genre and tried to kind of mythologize it and make it their own. And if you went to France and you looked at the gangster films that Jean-Pierre Melville did, which were kind of very similar, even though he was going about it in a French way, it's very similar to what I was trying to do. He had a sense of style for his characters, with their snap brim fedoras and their trench coats and their raincoats. Yeah, Bogart wore that kind of stuff, but man, when you see Alain Delon wear it, wow, okay, it has a specific look, and that became the suit of armor for his characters. It's more like, no, that's just my style. My guys wear black suits, and it's like Melville's trench coats. There's like an aesthetic working in Melville's work that you get a sense that you don't have to know how to make a movie. If you truly love cinema with all your heart and with enough passion, you can't help but make a good movie.
Are you gonna bark all day, little doggy? Or are you gonna bite?
The Thing was probably the one movie of all the like individual films that I've seen that like probably influenced dogs the most, because it's in some ways it's very like it's the same idea where you have a bunch of guys trapped in a situation that they can't get out of, in a very claustrophobic situation where nobody can trust anybody else. It scared the living hell out of me. And the thing about it is the tension and the anxiety and the claustrophobia and the fear and the distrust that was running around those men, all right, came straight out into the movie theater. And what I wanted was to achieve that same kind of effect with an audience The Thing had with me.
Yeah, you know, a film that actually is a big influence on the film is John Carpenter's remake of The Thing. It's very similar, all right? And I mean, I didn't do anything, like take anything from it, but I wanted to capture that same feeling. In The Thing, you have all these guys trapped in this room, all right, and no one can trust anybody else, and they can't go anywhere else, and they just have to deal with each other, which is exactly the exact same situation in Reservoir Dogs. And what I wanted to achieve is what I felt that film achieved when I first saw it at the theaters, was the tension of those guys in that situation was so great, and there was no release of it because it was so claustrophobic that the only place that tension could go was right out into the audience. And that's how I felt when I was looking at The Thing, and that's what I wanted to achieve in my movie.
The thing about it was, actually, one of the reasons that The Thing holds a special place in my heart is the idea that I love horror movies. I'm a big horror movie fan. I don't get scared in horror movies. I respond to suspense. I respond to that. But, what's going to happen next? And I can jump by a boo scare, but that's not really terror. I don't get scared in movies. The Thing I got scared in, and I was scared, and it made me want to put it under a microscope about why I was actually frightened during that movie. And I think the reason is this, is because if you know the movie, part of the situation is these men are trapped in this situation in this Arctic Research Center. And so one or more of them are possibly this thing that's going to devour all of them. And no one knows if you are the guy I've known forever or if you're a thing.
Right.
And the movie makes the paranoia of that so palpable, so real. It's almost like another character in the movie, just the sheer paranoia of it.
Exactly.
But they're trapped in the Antarctic. They're trapped in this shelter. And so the paranoia is bouncing off of the four walls, bouncing, the fear of the paranoia, bouncing, until it has nowhere to go except through the fourth wall into the audience. And I started feeling exactly like they felt.
His television remake of the movie The Killers with Lee Marvin.
And Clu Gulager.
And the great Clu Gulager, right, that you used as well in Last Picture Show.
Yeah.
And the thing about it was, aside from the fact that the characters seem to predate the Blues Brothers, they're walking around in their suits and their dark glasses and their pork pie hats as they go about doing their job. The way the film starts is they show up at an office or a school for the blind. There's a blind receptionist on duty, Mrs. Olsen from the Folgers coffee commercials, no less. Okay, is playing the blind receptionist, and they immediately start terrorizing her. They start terrorizing this older blind woman, and it's shocking. It's just absolutely shocking. And what it does, and this is what Siegel has been known to do, the shockingness and the surprisingness of the violence rivets your attention for the rest of the movie.